4th Gen Tacoma install process. Gen Tacoma install process. So for this install, we actually have an SR5. It still has the TSS sensor on it. It does not have parking sensors though. So the parking sensors won't be part of the install, but we can go over a couple key points of that while we're doing this to show you how to put them on. And that should take care of any questions that anybody has. This has a couple extra things in it. He's added some lights in. We'll take care of making sure that everything works with what we have versus what we're not keeping. We have a lever for the grill actuator. So you're gonna be removing the entire louvered grill system and putting the actuator in here, the lever, to let it think that the grill system's still in. So basically, we got to get started on all this to show you what fasteners, what plastic to remove, where to cut, everything else. This bumper is actually, or this truck is actually running the Bushwhacker flares. So that cut line is going to be the same as a stock cut line, but these are just a lot wider. So the bumper's been made wider for these flares. We also make the bumpers standard for your stock standard flares. So let's get it started. So the bumper's been built, we're using 1 3/4 120 wall DOM for the upper main and lower main tubes. Our back gusset tube is 1.5 120 wall DOM. We've made accommodations for 10-inch light bars. We have light bar brackets, the brackets to bolt it all on. Basically, you're gonna use the stuff that we send along to bolt everything together. We have your front winch plate with your hardware that goes to hold your winch on. If you're attaching a winch, this customer is not. Fair lead bolts to hold your fair lead onto our winch plate. And then we obviously have our 1-inch clevis mounts here. We have light brackets on all the bumpers. So we've also included, this customer is having us do a set of Squadron Sports and S2 Sports. So we'll mount those accordingly in the holes. We'll probably use some spacers to push them down into the center of the hole to make them look right. And then our side frame brackets. So these side frame brackets literally bolt to the side frame of the truck and gusset the crush zone to keep the bumper from flexing when impacted or winching or anything like that. And this little guy right here will go inside the frame, whereas the side frame bracket will bolt to the outside, and everything will sandwich together and make a nice sturdy mounting point for it. So we have your hardware for all that. That's pretty much what we got going on. We're gonna go ahead and get started on pulling the nose off the 4th Gen and getting this all built. I know most people aren't gonna be doing this on a lift, but for the purposes of filming, the lift makes a huge difference for us. You know what else would make a huge difference? If Toyota would have given us hydro shocks on these, or gas powered shocks for the hood prop, because short people don't like that. I'm short people. So this also has a aftermarket air cleaner or air intake in it. So we're just gonna have to kind of, you know, basically work through that. But I think it's pretty much the same stuff sitting in here. So we'll start off by popping all the buttons all the way around. You just push down on these guys. And we want to get a close up on that in case nobody's done these. You just push down on it and it pops out of the hole. So probably leave that one. So there's that. Just set it off to the side for right now. And we're gonna grab a 10 millimeter The first thing we're gonna have to look for is any electrical connections. Obviously, this one has some aftermarket stuff in it. So we're gonna look for those for sure. And then we're gonna go after anything that's gonna connect the front of the grill to the body of the truck. So these guys right here, these are definitely, so these ones are running your main system, your louvers, your TSS, all that stuff. So you want to unhook these. There's one. The other one, it's going to be a pain to get to because of this thing. So I got this little guy right here. Makes things a little less aggressive, so you're not just pulling on everything. Connection will hopefully still be usable after using that. All right, so we got a button on it. And there's one more hiding out down here. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out too. You see it in there? Okay. Reach through here. What a pain. Whatever the tool is for that, I need one. My hands do not like that. Okay, so there's all three of the plugs on this side. That should take care of, that's your actuator for your louvers. So that's one we're gonna be deleting. That pretty much takes care of any electrical connections going from the body to the grill area of the truck. So at that point, we got to get in here and start working off of the 10mm bolts, and of course one of them is hiding under this guy. So we're going to remove this 10mm here. We got one here. And then one right here. Okay. That should be all of those. There's going to be some surprises, I think, on this one, but because of the extra wiring in there, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay. So I picked up these little wobbly 1/4-inch drives for in the fender area. Figured maybe it'll make things a little easier on all of us. I'll go in here, start pulling these out. Got some on the flare, some on the liner. So I'll go one extra just in case. So I'm not fighting it too bad because we're going to need this flare to kind of stay away from what we're doing. Okay. Okay, so we got another down here. And then it looks like one more. All right, so skid plate, you'll probably have a felt one on a stock vehicle. This one's got aftermarket. Should be 12 millimeter. So under the felt, grabbing that attachment point off. Okay. Another felt one, and then just take them off as they come. Felts or plastic, whichever, they all got to come out in this area. All right, that should be good for that. So when you're coming off this corner here, if you look on the back side, you got this guy right here is like a shouldered, you got to pull it off of it and then give it a yank, because it's got a little nub that sticks out off of it. So that takes care of that. This thing's pretty well ready to fall off, and it'll be your side right here, Jacob. So you can go ahead and just do that. It's a little aggressive, but it's what they want you to do. All right, so now you see everything. We can show you the plugs here. We'll just keep it stood up for a second so that way you can see the plugs. So these are all the plugs we disconnected. This is everything. Passenger side top. Take off these three, and apparently that guy right there, I guess it just would be two. So you really only have to take off these two, because these ones are for, this one's for the louver, and it doesn't have to come off yet. So that takes care of the entire nose of the bumper. This guy right here, we don't need it anymore. So it goes out of the way. Just set it over here. And then we start taking off the crash bar. 17s, I believe. So let me grab the big impacts. We'll get going on those. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I dropped one, so 8. 8 bolts. You really get to start a nice bolt collection when you do this. All right, so fresh, so clean. Let's see if that does it, if there's more. I think there's more. All right, so Toyota has left us these little guys here, connecting the bottom of the crash bar together. So if you want, what I would do, pop these off before you do the crash bar. But since I wasn't ready for it, we'll pop it off now. So plastic buttons are off, whole crash bar came down. Definitely do the plastic buttons before you unbolt the crash bar. We just didn't have that on the last one we did, so we weren't aware of it. So then you want to take off these tow hooks, because we don't need them anymore. We're hooking up a skid plate down there. Okay. So after the crash bar comes off, this guy right here, this comes off. Side impact forces the load into the side of the frame if you get hit. So, but that comes off also. So we got some plastic buttons in the, you're only gonna pull the first two buttons out. You got this one and this one. Don't pull that one, you don't need to. So this one and this one, we're gonna pop them out for our side frame bracket. Maybe. Extra reinforced plastic. Okay, got it. Nobody worry, I got it. I got it. All right, so then this one too. Perfect, that was a good pop. That one was a good pop. So once those are out, you slide this inside the frame. This has to be done before the bumper goes on. You'll never be able to get it afterwards. It has to be ahead of time. So we put this bolt up to it, and the nuts are already welded. So that just stays there. Once the bumper goes on, we'll go ahead and snug everything up, but it just has to be in place beforehand. We give you a nice little handle on this. The nuts go to the inside like this, flat spot to the face of the frame. And you just line them up. Put the bolts in. When you put these on, there's a long slot and a short slot. Long slot goes up and goes around this body mount. So that way, when it all tightens down to the side of the frame, it's able to sandwich or swallow that body mount up, okay? And this basically is gonna give strength to the top of the bumper and tie it back into this back 6 inches of frame rail to really help support the crash bar mount and where the bumper is connected to. All right, so I'm just snugging them up a little bit so we don't get a bunch of interference. You want them movable still. That way once the bumper's on, you're still able to get that bolt to go through easy. So I'll run these ones down just a little bit. All right. Next move is we're going to take off the louvers and pull out the actuator. So this is your actuator for your louvers. And we are going to put a limit switch on the actuator so that it still thinks the louvers are installed. The louvers, from my understanding, is as you hit a certain miles per hour, I think it's like 50 or 55, the louvers close and make the vehicle more aerodynamic as per what I've been explained. I'm gonna be honest with you, it sounds super awesome and space agey, but most of the stuff we're doing is making these vehicles less aerodynamic. So we're just gonna go ahead and just delete the louver, and then that way we don't have to deal with the code or anything else, because the bumper pretty much takes half the louvers off anyways. Lucked out on that one. All right, one left. So these guys right here, you can't, if you take these on and off, you can't really super tighten these because they're just held in by plastic. So when the light bar was put in this grill, this was super tightened up. This one and this one down here didn't want to come out. So this one obviously didn't survive the cut, but it came out, it's still connected, and it's still tight. But the good news is you don't need it anymore, so I guess it works out. Okay, so to take this actuator out of here, remove the wiring. Okay, and then each one, we're gonna pop up these little levers. See them? My fingers just extended past where they could. So basically this is the pivot point for the center rib for each louver. So you just got to go in there. It's got a little tab on the side of it. Just be kind of gentle. I mean, no reason to destroy anything. You just pull them out one by one. They kind of want to release from where they're at, so it helps. See what we got going on there? So I'm just applying a little bit of upward pressure on this end and just working my way down the line. Okay, so that's it. Like I said, each one of them connects to a louver, so you pretty much got to do every single one of them all the way down. So then we take the actuator out. First disconnect it. Jesus. They really put the Toyota glue on that one, didn't they? All right, actuator wiring harness. We'll need that. This little guy right here. Pull that out. Then the actuator and the one louver that it is connected to comes out. So we want to pull this harness out of this area because when we start cutting, we don't want to cut through the harness. So we'll start off with disconnecting the back of the TSS sensor. It has a little push pin. You got to give it all the onion to make that thing move, but it moves. So you have that. You have this guy. That comes off. I guess we just start at one end, huh? Gotta love the fork tool, man. It's definitely helpful compared to just prying on it with a screwdriver or a knife. All right. Okay, so then we got these little lights that are in here are aftermarket, so I'm just gonna have to clip the wiring for that to be able to get to be able to keep moving forward. Customers are aware of this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and run that off. And then, we'll throw some tape over those so they don't short out for him. And basically, harness just needs to be up and out of the way while we make our cut to the plastic. We don't want to go through any of that. So at this point, there's enough slack. Toss this here. All right, so now no more wiring harness in the way, and we're gonna flip it down and make our cut to get it all ready to put it back on the truck. We're gonna get ready to make our cut. This is obviously the part that makes everybody nervous because you can't go back. So we start off with, we're aiming for this line right along here. This is our cut line. Now, right in here, it disappears. Over here, disappears. We just follow it and terminate it. As it comes across here, it still comes up as an angle, and then it flattens out and goes straight. So everything from here to here is at the same angle as this, and then once it gets to the flare, it flattens out. So just so I'm clarifying that. I need thinner tape. Ooh. I don't like that much. For the stock flare, I measured down 4 1/4 from this point to right here, and then ran that straight. I know it looks weird at first, but this has to keep going at this angle, but then here the tube straightens out and is at a zero plane with the truck itself. So we want this straight with the vehicle as best we can. So I'm gonna make the cut. I'll start here along this, get that cut prepped. I'll do the outside layer of the fender flare, and then I'll come in and get the back side of it with a saw. And then we also have to cut inside the center of this over to the TSS sensor, snip these off, leave the TSS sensor where it is, and pull the rest of the stuff off the grill. All right, magic time. No turning back. All right, so there's the cut. We'll do the other side. Okay. Super fun. Super duper fun. All right, so then I go in here. All right. Now, like I was saying, come in here, right next to the TSS sensor. Oh no. Okay. But it's white, you know, so they make that color. Okay. Bam. All right, so we've got our light bars mounted. Pretty simple. We send along these brackets to go with. We're gonna move some holes around, so this won't be as tight of a connection point. But yeah, we send these brackets along, you bolt it to the side of the light bar, and then you bolt it to the back of the plate. And it holds everything where it needs to be, gives you the light right in the opening like you need it. Next up is going to be the pods. So the pods on this one, you wanted a Squadron Sport and an S2 Sport amber. So we went ahead and put spacers on it, 2 spacers on this one on that one, and that's just something to get the pod down into the opening a little better. You don't have to do that. We just want it down where it sits nice and straight in the opening. Next up on this bumper is going to be the winch plate. So this is the winch plate. So if you have a winch, it's going to bolt on to the inside face of these 4 holes, not these ones. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And what you'll use for hardware is you'll use these flathead bolts. These square nuts will go into the bottom of your winch. There's a slot in there for them. Every winch has it. They all work the same. So you take these, and obviously if there was a winch on there, you'd be tightening from this side. That's a 7/64 Allen wrench. Obviously keep it supported. So get this guy in. And the reason we're putting this on first, it's got our logo in it. Looks kind of cool. Second, why bother looking for it later on when you go to put a winch on? You might as well have it where you need it. And then you know all your hardware's there, your winch plate's there. With this added in, it gives your winch about a 3/8 of an inch thick contact surface to work off of. So really reinforces the area. The foot forward mounting, extra strong, keeps any distortion off the base of the winch. It really helps with pull force. So there's that. We also send along these. These are to bolt your fair lead on. Some of the fair leads are a little thicker. These are 3/8 by 16 threads per inch. This hole's threaded. So if you get a fair lead that's too thick and you can't use the bolts we send, when you go to the hardware store, you're looking for 3/8 by 16. These ones are 1 inch long. I wouldn't go too long. If the bolt starts to stick through the plate too much, it'll run into the bottom of your winch drum. So try to size it accordingly so it doesn't cause you any problems down the road. So there's those. a little bit of powder coating on them threads. Not too bad. And then there's that. Winch plate is on, lights are on, pods are on. We're ready to stick this bumper on the truck, see how it fits. Okay. You go to put the front clip back on. I don't know if you know it or not, but I'm gonna show it to you. It's a click in. It's got these little receivers. So you click them in. Just make sure they're lined up before you start beating the crap out of it. Obviously it's just plastic. You don't want to break it. So there's a, if you look up here, this bolt here and that bolt over there, there's a pin that kind of helps that locate. You see how it falls into place? You really want to land on that before you start whacking things over here, so your whole front clip doesn't just fall on the ground. So click it into that, click it in over there, have a friend help you, you know, that way you're not flailing around. And then this thing's pretty well situated. It's not going to go very far. You have to really bump it hard to make it move. So there it is. No bottom lip. I'm going to tell you right now, if you start the truck while all this stuff is disconnected on the front grille, you're going to see more lights and more warnings than you've ever seen on a dashboard. You'll get a check engine light, you'll get a visit your dealer, you'll get every single light there is known to man. All because this harness isn't plugged back in right here. So make sure you plug this back together before you start firing things up. The most important thing after all this is your grill louvers. So you got a TSS sensor down here we have to plug back in. We got grill louvers we got to plug back in, but we don't have grill louvers anymore. So we're going to show you the actuator lever that we created to basically tell the truck that the grill louvers are still there so it doesn't throw a code. So yeah, everything gets plugged back together. We're not going to do it yet. We're going to fit the bumper up. Everything goes smooth. We start plugging everything in. We're good to go. Start moving on down the road and be done with this. Make sure you don't have no cords in the way. So as you're putting on all the bolts, don't go crazy and just tighten one of them. Try to get everything kind of close first, so that way you don't start distorting the brackets on the truck. So I'm just kind of going around, snugging up a little bit here and there. So that way everything goes up and into place where it needs to be. Otherwise you start getting a bind and it won't tighten up properly. After you get all the bolts tightened up, everything's tightened, side frame brackets are all tight now. Everything's tied together. Let me get the wires out of there so you can see. So basically you have your grill is on, your bumper's on, all your bolts are in. We're gonna go ahead and get the skid plate on, and we will, now normally we'd be putting parking sensors on this, but this is an SR5 and they don't have parking sensors. So we do have parking sensor stickers that are gonna come in the kits, and it's a 3M VHB sticker, just like they use at the factory. You take off your parking sensor mount, you clean it up real good, use some alcohol, make sure it's nice and clean, put the VHB sticker on it, and then you'll stick it to the back side of this, and then another one over here, and that'll take care of your parking sensors. Your harness will reach, everything else will work just fine. So that's parking sensor, pretty much a small overview. So next we hook up the skid plate to the bottom of it and just finish up. We have fender flares, aftermarket fender flares on this. So we'll be cutting those to fit the layout of the tubing. And we have some cool zip tie buttons that we got for these. I think I maybe $5 on Amazon or something. These are pretty neat. They look nice and clean when they're all done. So you poke a hole through, put the button on the back side, zip ties shut, gives it a nice clean look. So we'll be putting those on the inner fenders to make them look finished. Oops, I'm gonna go this way, huh? Hold on to shit a little better. All right. Use these guys. They're like little straight zip ties. There we go. Holds the fender liner up real nice. Throw another one over here maybe. Oh. Nope. I can't get through there with it. There's that. So that should hold the fender liner real nice. So if you have an SR5, the Toyota made the front frame a little bit different on the SR5s. So you don't have a cross member here like the off-roads and the pros do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a cross member piece, because these are higher than the ones on the pros and the off-roads. So we're gonna make a cross member piece that bolts in here and goes across, bolts to this side, and gives you a bolt up point for your skid plate all the way along, to help with strength in this area. Because right now, this is pretty much it. This is all you got. So if you don't have a skid coming from here to here, and our skid, this is just radiator and condenser hanging out and just nothing saving it. So we'll make a cross member that fits with it, and we will make it to where you can bolt it straight in with our skid plate, and then you'll be able to bolt aftermarket skids and stock skids into those cross members, just like the off-roads and the pros have. So we got this little actuator that we're putting on the louver motor. actuator lever. So basically, we throw this in here. And then this in here. And this will make the truck's computer think that the louver is still in place on the truck. Just snug them down. All right, so then that tells the motor that it's stopping where it's supposed to stop. Okay. We'll plug the harness back into this. So then everything is situated, and we'll put it on the truck. Need to get our lighting guy on it. All right, so there it is. She's mounted. Got the little actuator on there. So this is our center support for our grill. It's already there, there's already a hole there. And then we just mount this to where the lever doesn't have anything in its way so it can move freely. And that'll keep your trouble codes from popping up. And it's not bad. I'm cutting it. So. Got the install all done. Everything's situated, TSS sensor, got the light bars in, pods in, you already saw that at the beginning. We did not do parking sensors on this vehicle because it doesn't have any, it's a SR5. So this vehicle does have 2-inch wider per side flares. So this bumper's made for those flares. We also have a bumper that's made narrower for the normal size flares. So just got to let us know if you have the bushwhacker flares or any other flares that make your rig wider. All in all, it came out really nice. We're super happy with it. We hope you like it. If you decide to buy it, let us know what you think of our bumper and our install video. If you have feedback, we're always happy to hear it. Try to keep it positive, please. And yeah, thanks for watching.